One crisp autumn afternoon, when Lucy, Tom and their dog Pippin found themselves exploring the old part of Cedarwood Forest, a place they'd always been curious about but had never dared to venture into until now. The forest was known for its tall, whispering trees and the tales of eerie happenings that surrounded it. Some said it was haunted, while others spoke of a ghostly figure that had once roamed the woods. "We're going to find something interesting today, I just know it," Lucy said, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she led the way down the narrow, winding path. "I'm not so sure," Tom replied with a slight frown. "The forest has always been a bit strange, don't you think?" "Nonsense," Lucy laughed, tossing her blonde curls back. "We'll be fine. Besides, we've got Pippin to protect us." Pippin, their ever-loyal terrier, barked happily as he trotted along behind them, his tail wagging energetically. The group had often explored the countryside around their village, but the old part of the forest was different. The trees were older, their branches twisted in strange shapes, and the ground was soft with thick moss. The deeper they walked into the forest, the quieter it became, until the only sound was the rustling of leaves and Pippin's paws patting along the path. After what seemed like hours, they reached an old, crumbling cottage that stood in the middle of the woods. The windows were boarded up, and the door creaked on its hinges as it swayed in the breeze. "This must be the witch's cottage that old Mrs. Smith from the village was always talking about," Tom said, his voice barely above a whisper. "She said the ghost of the old librarian haunts this place." Lucy's curiosity got the better of her. "Let's have a look inside," she said, pushing the door open with a small creak. The air inside was thick with dust, and the scent of old paper lingered in the air. The furniture was covered with white sheets, and the shelves were lined with old books that seemed to have been untouched for many years. Lucy stepped forward cautiously, feeling the excitement build up in her chest. "Do you think the ghost is here?" Tom asked nervously, glancing around the dim room. Before Lucy could answer, something caught her eye. A dusty old book resting on a wooden table by the fireplace. The cover was strange, decorated with symbols and pictures that looked almost ancient. The title on the spine read, "The Book of the Ghost." "Look at this," Lucy said, rushing over to the table. "I wonder what this is." Tom and Pippin followed her, peering over her shoulder as she carefully opened the book. Inside, the pages were filled with stories about mysterious happenings, strange noises in the night, and ghostly figures seen wandering through the village. But what caught their attention the most was a drawing in the middle of the book. A drawing of a ghostly figure in a flowing cloak, standing near the very cottage they were in. "This is the ghost of the librarian," Tom exclaimed, pointing to the drawing. "But look, there's more. The book says that the ghost is guarding something." Lucy turned the page, and there, in a small note, was a map that seemed to lead to a hidden treasure buried deep in the forest. "The treasure must be real," Lucy said excitedly. "We have to find it." Tom hesitated. "But the book says the ghost is guarding it. What if we get into trouble?" "Nonsense," Lucy said with a grin. "We'll find the treasure and bring it back to the village. Let's go." With the map in hand, the three adventurers set off into the woods once more, following the clues from the book. The path was tricky, and the trees grew even thicker as they ventured deeper. The wind began to howl through the branches, and the shadows seemed to grow longer. "Do you think the ghost is watching us?" Tom asked, his voice filled with doubt. "I'm not scared of ghosts," Lucy said confidently, though she did feel a little shiver down her spine. "Come on, we're almost there." Just as they reached a clearing, Pippin suddenly stopped and started barking furiously. The children froze. "Pippin!" Lucy cried. "What is it, boy?" But before they could figure out what had happened, a faint, ethereal glow appeared before them. Slowly, a figure dressed in a long cloak of silver began to materialize. It was the ghost from the book, the librarian ghost, just as the stories had said. "I am the guardian of the treasure," the ghost's voice echoed, soft and kind, though slightly eerie. "Only those with brave hearts and good intentions may enter. Lucy and Tom looked at each other nervously. We want to find the treasure, Lucy said, but we promise we'll use it wisely. The ghost smiled faintly. You must follow the final clue. You are near, but to unlock the treasure, you must solve the riddle. A soft breeze rustled through the trees, and the ghost began to speak the riddle. Stay with us to know what happened next.